The vial slipped from my trembling fingers, shattering against the tiled floor of our Seville apartment like a gunshot in the dead of night. Delaney's green eyes locked onto mine, widening not in anger, but in the kind of devastating clarity that shatters worlds. "Amaya," she whispered, her voice cracking like the glass at our feet. "Why didn't you tell me you loved me before you even knew my name?" I froze, the words I'd never meant to say hanging in the air like smoke from a fire I couldn't put out. It was supposed to be just another humid Spanish evening, the kind where the air smelled of orange blossoms and regret, but one accidental sip from that cursed bottle, mistaken for my chamomile tea, had unraveled everything. Delaney, my roommate of 6 months, the woman who'd stormed into my quiet life like a flamenco dancer in a library, now knew it all. The buried ache of my first heartbreak in a dusty Kansas trailer park, the family secrets I'd fled across an ocean to escape, and worst of all, the way my heart had quietly claimed her as its own from the moment she unpacked her battered guitar in the living room. She stepped closer, shards crunching under her sneakers, her auburn ponytail swinging like a pendulum counting down to whatever came next. I wanted to bolt, to dive out the wrought iron balcony and into the labyrinthine streets of the Triana neighborhood below, but my legs were leaden, pinned by the truth serum's cruel grip. Every lie I'd ever told myself bubbled up, unbidden and unrelenting. I didn't mean to, I stammered, but even that was a half-truth, and the serum twisted it into confession. "God, Delaney, I've been in love with you since that stupid welcome dinner at the expat bar. Your laugh. It sounds like home, even here in this foreign heat." Delaney's face crumpled, a storm of emotions flickering across her freckled features. Shock, then something softer, like recognition. She was the alpha in every sense. The one who fixed the leaky faucet with a curse and a wrench, who dragged me to late-night tapas runs when I wanted to hide under my duvet, who commanded the room without raising her voice. Back in Portland, she'd been a barista with dreams of writing folk songs about lost loves. Here in Spain, on this impulsive 6-month sabbatical we'd both stumbled into, she was my anchor in the chaos of cobblestone alleys and siesta schedules. But anchors could drag you under, too. "Amaya," she said again, softer this time, reaching down to pick up a jagged piece of glass, as if it could piece us back together. "This isn't just about us. You said. About your sister. The accident. How you've been carrying that guilt like a backpack full of bricks." Her voice trembled, and I saw the betrayal in her eyes. Not mine but the world's for keeping me so walled off. I'd blurted it all out over dinner. How my older sister Elena had died in a car crash when I was 18, how I'd been behind the wheel, distracted by a fight over my phase with girls. The family had never forgiven me. They'd buried the truth under layers of Catholic guilt and small-town whispers in rural Missouri. I'd run to Spain to outpace it, only to collide with Delaney, who made me want to stay. I sank onto the worn leather couch, the one we'd scavenged from a Triana flea market, its cushion still smelling faintly of someone else's life. The serum's haze lifted slightly, leaving me raw and exposed, like skin after a sunburn. Outside, the Guadalquivir River murmured beyond our window, carrying secrets of its own through the city of bridges. "I thought if I told you you'd leave," I admitted, the words tasting like salt. "You're so whole. You came here to write your album, to chase sunsets and stories. I'm just the girl who breaks things." Delaney knelt before me, her knees on the cool tile, close enough that I could smell her citrus shampoo mixed with the earthy tang of the spilled serum. She set the glass shard aside carefully, her hands, calloused from guitar strings, hovering near mine. "Whole. Amaya, I've been faking it since the day we met. That confidence? It's armor. Back home my ex Rachel, she gutted me. Said I was too intense, too much. I came to Spain to prove her wrong, but really I was running just like you." Her green eyes searched mine, and in that moment the room felt smaller, the world narrowing to the space between us. We'd met 6 months ago at a chaotic expat mixer in a dimly lit bar off Calle Batiste, where Americans clustered like homing pigeons in a foreign sky. I was nursing a sangria, fresh off a flight from St. Louis, my savings scraped together for a TFL job teaching English to wide-eyed Andalusian kids. Delaney burst in late, guitar slung over her shoulder, her laugh cutting through the chatter like a bright cord. "Roommates," she'd said when I mentioned my ad on the expat Facebook group. "Only if you promise not to judge my midnight songwriting sessions." I'd agreed, desperate for company in this city of siestas and shadows. Our apartment was a third-floor walk-up in Triana, the gypsy heart of Seville, with whitewashed walls that echoed every footstep and a balcony overlooking potters' workshops where clay spun into dreams. It was cheap, chaotic, perfect for two women in their mid-20s pretending they had life figured out. Mornings, she'd brew strong coffee while I scrambled eggs. Evenings, we'd wander the riverside, debating everything from Hemingway's Spain to the ache of queer love in conservative corners. But I'd kept my walls up, high as the Giralda Tower, terrified that letting her in would mean losing the fragile peace I'd built. Now, with the Serum's truth laid bare, those walls were rubble. "I saw you with that woman at the feria last month," I confessed, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "The one with the red fan. You looked so happy, and it killed me because I wanted to be her." The April fair had been a whirlwind of polka-dot dresses and sherry-fueled dances. I'd watched from the fringes as Delaney twirled with the local artist, their laughter a knife in my gut. Delaney winced, pulling back slightly. "That was nothing. A distraction. God, Amaya, I've been writing songs about you." "Hazel in the Heat. That's not about Seville. It's about your eyes when you read poetry on the balcony." She laughed bitterly, a sound that twisted my heart. "But I didn't say anything because you're so guarded. I thought you saw me as just the fun roommate, the one who blasts Joni Mitchell too loud." The air between us thickened, charged like the storm clouds that rolled in off the Atlantic. I reached for her hand, my fingers brushing hers, and for a heartbeat time suspended. The hum of distant flamenco guitars, the scent of jasmine climbing the walls, the unspoken promise of what could be. But truth serum didn't just reveal. It demanded reckoning. "There's more," I whispered, hating the compulsion but yielding to it. "My family. They disowned me after Elena. Said it was God's punishment for my sins. I haven't spoken to them in 7 years." Delaney's grip tightened, her thumb tracing circles on my knuckles, a silent vow. "That's not on you. None of it." She rose, pulling me up with her, and we stood there in the wreckage, the broken vial a metaphor for us. Shattered but salvageable. That night, as the serum faded, we talked until dawn, words flowing like the river below. She shared her own scars. The alpha facade hiding a girl who'd been outed in high school, her parents' forced smile at her wedding that never happened. We were mirrors, reflecting each other's hidden fractures. But dawn brought clarity, and with it, the first crack of conflict. Over breakfast, tortillas we'd burned in our distraction, Delaney's phone buzzed with a message from her ex, Rachel, back in Portland. "She's coming to Spain," Delaney said, her voice flat, scrolling through the texts. "Surprise visit. Says she misses me, wants to talk things through." The words landed like a slap, the betrayal not in the message, but in the timing, right when we'd bared our souls. I forced a smile, the old walls rebuilding brick by brick. "That's great. Closure, right?" But inside, panic clawed. Rachel, the one who'd broken her, the poised lawyer with the perfect bob in the way of making Delaney feel small. I'd seen the photos, heard the stories. Rachel, who dismissed Delaney's music as hobby, who left because alphas like you burn too bright. Delaney set her phone down, eyes searching mine. "It's not closure. It's a bomb. And after last night, I don't want her here." She reached across the table, but I pulled back, the serum's echo making me honest to a fault. "You should go. See if it's real. I can't be your rebound." Her face hardened, that alpha fire sparking. "Rebound? Amaya, this isn't some fling. Last night, you think that was the serum talking? I've felt it for months." But doubt crept in, insidious as the morning fog off the river. Rachel's arrival loomed like a shadow over our fragile new ground, promising to unearth more secrets, more pain. The days blurred into a tense limbo. Delaney canceled the visit with a curt text, but Rachel persisted, emails laced with nostalgia. "Remember our trips to the coast? We could do that here." I pretended not to notice Delaney rereading them on the balcony, her guitar silent for the first time in weeks. Our routines fractured, my English classes dragged, her songwriting stalled. Even the city's magic dimmed. The Alcazar's gardens felt oppressive, their fountains mocking our stalled emotions. One evening, after a silent dinner of gazpacho and bread, Delaney confronted me in the kitchen. "You're pulling away. Why?" Her voice was raw, green eyes stormy. The serum was long gone, but honesty lingered like a habit. "Because I'm scared. What if Rachel's right? What if I'm not enough? The broken girl with ghosts. Tears stung, hot and unbidden. She crossed the room in 2 strides, cupping my face. Enough? You're everything. But if you don't believe that, we're doomed before we start. Her lips brushed my forehead, a chaste promise, but I stepped back, the conflict raging. Betrayal bloomed. Not from her, but from my own fears, the family legacy that whispered I didn't deserve this. The climax shattered on a sweltering June night during the Corpus Christi procession. Seville pulsed with candlelit floats enchanting crowds, the air thick with incense and anticipation. Delaney had dragged me out, insisting we needed air, normalcy. We wove through the throng near the cathedral, her hand in mine for the first time, a tentative bridge. But then, like a cruel twist of fate, Rachel appeared, tall, composed, her bob impeccable under a wide-brim hat, as if she'd materialized from Delaney's regrets. Delaney! Rachel's voice cut through the murmurs, laced with surprise and something sharper. She stepped forward, ignoring me entirely, enveloping Delaney in a hug that lingered too long. I flew in this morning. Couldn't stay away after your messages. My stomach plummeted. Messages? Delaney's face paled, realization dawning. In the Serum haze, she'd confessed firing off drunken texts to Rachel weeks ago. Vulnerable pleas she'd regretted. Now, here was the consequence, flesh and bone. Delaney extricated herself, glancing at me with apology in her eyes. Rachel, this is Amaya. My roommate. The word stung. A demotion from the truths we'd shared. Rachel's gaze flicked to me, appraising, dismissive. The one from the emails? Cute. But D, we need to talk. Alone. D, the nickname I'd never heard. A relic from their past. The crowd surged, pressing us closer. But the real pressure was internal. Go, I said to Delaney, voice steady despite the fracture. Fix it. I melted into the shadows, heart pounding, the procession's drums echoing my pulse. Hours later, I found them at a quiet taberna off the square. Rachel's hand on Delaney's arm, words low and urgent. I didn't stay to eavesdrop. The betrayal was in the scene itself. A reminder that some secrets resurfaced to claim their due. Back at the apartment, I packed a bag, scribbled a note. You deserve the truth you chase. I'm giving you space. Don't follow. But Delaney did follow, bursting through the door as I zipped my duffel, rain starting to patter against the tiles. A rare Seville downpour. Amaya, wait. Rachel's gone. She came for closure, but I told her everything. About you. Us. Her shirt clung wetly, auburn hair plastered to her forehead, green eyes fierce. Everything. I echoed, bag slipping from my shoulder. The songs. The way you make the world make sense. She's the past. You're the now. She closed the distance, rain dripping from her lashes. I betrayed you by not shutting that door sooner. But I'm shutting it now. For good. The dam broke. Tears mixing with rain as I collapsed against her. I betrayed myself, thinking I wasn't worth this. We held each other there, in the storm's embrace, confessions pouring out like the deluge outside. No grand gestures, just 2 women, scarred and stubborn, choosing vulnerability over flight. In the weeks that followed, healing was a slow flamenco rhythm. Steps forward, hesitations, turns. Delaney finished her album, tracks woven with our story. Shards and Serum, a ballad of accidental truths. I called my parents, not for forgiveness but release. A halting conversation under the apartment's balcony light, where I named my grief for Elena, my love for women, and found, surprisingly, a sliver of grace. We've missed you, my mother said, voice cracking across the Atlantic. It wasn't absolution, but it was human, flawed, hopeful. We stayed in Seville through summer's blaze, exploring hidden patios and midnight markets, our hands intertwined without fear. Delaney's alpha strength became our shared shelter. My quiet resilience, the melody to her chords. Betrayal had cracked us open, but from the fissures grew something unbreakable. A love humanistic in its messiness, romantic in its quiet fires. One crisp October evening, as leaves turned gold along the river, Delaney proposed not with a ring but a vow. On our balcony, guitar in lap, she sang a new song. Bridges over Guadalquivir. Promising to cross every divide with me. Marry me, she asked, voice steady. Not in some courthouse but here in the life we're building. I said yes, pulling her into a kiss that tasted of oranges and forever. Spain had been our exile, our revelation. America waited a distant horizon. But home? Home was her. Green eyes, calloused hands, the woman who'd turned my secrets into our story. And in that we found our ever after. Not perfect but profoundly ours. The rain had stopped by morning, leaving Seville glistening like a promise scrubbed clean. I woke to the scent of fresh churros wafting from the street vendors below, Delaney's arm draped possessively over my waist. A new ritual, this casual intimacy that still sent butterflies rioting in my chest. She stirred as I slipped out of bed, her green eyes fluttering open, sleepy and soft. "Where to?" she murmured, voice husky from the night's tears. "Class," I replied, leaning down to brush a kiss against her temple. "Then maybe the market? We need olives. And forgiveness." The last part was a joke, but it landed heavy, a nod to the call I still hadn't made. Elena's ghost lingered, not accusatory now but insistent. A sisterly nudge toward wholeness. Delaney propped herself on an elbow, auburn hair tousled into a halo. "Take the day. Call them. I'll handle the olives." Her alpha tone brooked no argument, but it was laced with that tenderness I'd come to crave, the kind that made me feel seen, not salvaged. I nodded, sinking back onto the bed. The apartment felt different in daylight, warmer. The broken vial swept away, its shards a memory rather than a menace. We lingered there, trading lazy stories. Her first crush on a camp counselor in the Oregon woods, my awkward teenage fumblings at a Missouri barn dance. Laughter bridged the gaps, turning scars into shared lore. By noon I was alone with my phone, perched on the balcony where Jasmine climbed like hope. The number hadn't changed. Muscle memory dialed it before doubt could intervene. "Mom." My voice cracked on the word, foreign after 7 years. "Amaya." The pause stretched, then, "Oh honey." Not anger, not accusation, just exhaustion. The wear of unspoken grief. We talked haltingly at first. Weather in St. Louis, the price of gas, sidestepping the chasm. But truth, that stubborn Serum's legacy, pulled us deeper. "I was driving, Mom. That night. I loved a girl and we fought, and Elena." The words choked out, raw as birth. Silence, then sobs, hers, mine, a duet across wires. "We knew," she whispered finally. "Your father. He blamed the roads, the rain. But deep down it was us. Pushing you away for who you are." More followed. Apologies, not polished but real, human stumbles toward mending. Dad came on the line, gruff as ever. "Come home sometime, kid. Bring your music girl." Music girl. I smiled through tears, hanging up with a tentative plan for Christmas. Delaney returned triumphant, arms laden with market bounty. Crusty bread, manchego cheese sharp as wit, olives plump and briny. "Progress?" she asked, unpacking on our scarred wooden table. "Enough for now." I pulled her close, burying my face in her neck. "Thank you for pushing." She chuckled, hands roaming my back in soothing arcs. "That's what alphas do. Or so the rom-coms say." We ate on the floor, picnic style, the afternoon unfolding into a languid haze of siesta and whispers. Her guitar joined us, strings humming under her fingers as she strummed snippets of Shards and Serum. The lyrics wove our chaos into poetry. Vial of verity, spilled in the night/secrets like rivers, rushing to light. As shadows lengthened, conflict stirred anew. Not from us but the world beyond our walls. Delaney's phone lit up with an email from her label contact back in Portland. A gig offer, low-key but legit, at a queer folk festival in Barcelona. 2 weeks from now, she read aloud, excitement warring with hesitation. It's a start. But it's far. Barcelona gleamed in my mind's eye, Gaudi's whimsy, the Ramblas bustle. A city of reinvention, much like Seville had been for us. Go, I said, echoing my earlier folly but meaning it this time. Your music needs this. We need this, proof we're not just hiding. Her eyes searched mine, vulnerability cracking the alpha veneer. What if it's another Rachel? The road, the spotlights. What if I lose myself again? I cupped her face, thumbs tracing her freckles. Then I'll find you. Like you found me in that bar. The kiss that followed was deeper. A seal on our pact, romantic, yes, but grounded in the humanistic grit of choice. Preparations consumed the next fortnight. A whirlwind of train tickets and set lists. I tagged along for the ride north, my TFL schedule flexible enough for a long weekend. The journey by Avenue train was a blur of olive groves and sun-baked hills, Delaney's head on my shoulder, her fingers laced with mine. "This feels like a beginning," she murmured as Catalonia's coast unfolded. Barcelona welcomed us with Mediterranean breezes and the salty tang of paella stands. The festival sprawled across a sunlit park near the Sagrada Familia, stages alive with voices, trans poets, dyke fiddlers, NBs with ukuleles. Delaney's slot was twilight, the crowd a mosaic of flags and faces, all colors of the rainbow flag unfurled. Backstage, nerves jangled like loose strings. "What if they hate it?" she fretted, pacing in a thrifted blazer and jeans that hugged her like a second skin. "They won't." I steadied her, adjusting her ponytail with a grin. "You're Delaney freaking Harper, alpha of acoustics." The set began with a cover, Mitchell's "A Case of You," her voice rich and ragged, drawing cheers. Then originals, Tales of Portland Rains and Spanish Confessions. When she launched into Hazel in the Heat, eyes finding mine in the front row, the air crackled. Your gaze like embers in the Andalusian fire, pulling me under, lifting me higher. The crowd swayed, a collective heartbeat, and I wept, quietly, joyfully, for the woman who'd turned my silence into song. Afterward, applause thundered. A producer slipped her a card, murmurs of album potential. We celebrated in a tiny tapas bar off La Boqueria, cava bubbling like our laughter. "To us," she toasted, clinking glasses. "Roommates to revolutionaries." But euphoria's afterglow hid undercurrents. On the train home, her phone buzzed incessantly. Follow-up emails, a flirty note from a festival sound tech. "Nothing," she dismissed, but doubt flickered. Back in Seville, the high faded into routine's grind. My classes with rambunctious teens mangling idioms, her studio sessions in a rented Triana basement, guitar cases stacking like unanswered questions. The betrayal resurfaced subtly, a serpent in Eden. One evening, I came home early to find Delaney on the couch, Rachel's name on her screen. Not a call, but an old photo album she'd pulled up, nostalgia's trap. "Just remembering," she said quickly, closing the app. But the seed planted. Was Barcelona a spark or a signal? Had the stage's siren call awakened old hungers? I confronted it over dinner, gazpacho cooling between us. "Talk to me. Is this enough after the lights?" She set her spoon down, green eyes stormy. "It's not the lights. It's the fear." Rachel texted, "Congrats on the gig." Said she's proud. And part of me misses that ease, the not having to fight for it. The admission stung, a fresh cut on healing flesh. "Ease? That's what broke you." My voice rose, emotions tied. "I'm fighting, Delaney. Every day against my ghosts for this." "I know." She reached for my hand, but I yanked away, the alpha in her yielding to rare defeat. "Maybe I need time to sort it." Time. The word echoed like a slammed door. That night we slept apart, me on the couch, her in bed. The chasm wider than the Guadalquivir. Climax brewed in the August heat, during the Feria de Santiago y Santa Ana, a smaller fair, but no less fervent, with casetas pulsing to Belarius and women in mantillas flirting with fate. Delaney had an impromptu slot at an expat tent, her music bridging cultures. I went to support, dressed in a simple sundress, olive skin glowing under string lights. The set soared, her voice a beacon, but midway Rachel appeared. Unannounced, elegant in white linen, a bottle of Rioja in hand. "Surprise," she said to the crowd, then to Delaney. "Heard about Barcelona. Thought I'd see it live." The tent hushed, sensing drama's undercurrent. Delaney faltered mid-chord, eyes darting to me in the wings. Rachel sidled on stage, microphone in grip. "This one's for old times, D." She launched into a duet unscripted. A sappy folk tune from their past, harmonies tight as thorns. Betrayal bloomed full, not in the song but the complicity, the way Delaney didn't stop her, the applause that followed like salt in wounds. I slipped out, the fair's joy turning claustrophobic, tears blurring candy apple stalls and laughing couples. Outside, under a canopy of lanterns, I waited. Not fleeing but fortifying. Delaney found me an hour later, Rachel's shadow trailing. "Amaya, it's not," she started, breathless. "Not what?" "Her crashing your life again." My voice was steel, honed by Serum truths and hard-won trust. Rachel interjected, cool as ever. "Look, I'm not here to steal. Just closure." Dee and I have history. History's a ghost, I snapped. And I'm done haunting yours. To Delaney. Choose. Now. Or lose me. The air crackled, Feria drums underscoring the standoff. Rachel's poise cracked first. Fine. I'm out. She air-kissed Delaney's cheek, vanishing into the night like smoke. Delaney turned to me, face ashen. You. Always you. She pulled me into the shadows of a nearby arch, forehead to mine. I froze because she reminds me of who I was, small, scared. But you? You make me brave. We kissed there, fierce and forgiving, the crowd's roar a distant hymn. No grand redemption, just two souls choosing amid the chaos. Healing deepened in autumn's embrace. Delaney blocked Rachel's number, channeling the pain into Ghosts of the Feria, a track that became her album's anchor. I expanded my classes, adding queer lit to the curriculum, voices like Audre Lorde echoing in Andalusian accents. Family ties mended slowly. A video call with Dad, sharing his war stories. Mom sending care packages of barbecue sauce and regrets. By November, as leaves carpeted the river paths, we plotted our return. Portland for her music, St. Louis pit stops for mine. Spain had been our crucible, forging love from secrets. Humanistic, yes, flawed with stumbles, rich with grace. One evening, balcony vigil as always, Delaney strummed a new melody. Epilogue, she teased. I smiled, hazel eyes on her green. Just the bridge to what's next. Winter crept into Seville like a shy guest, cooling the relentless sun and turning the Guadalquivir's waters to molten silver. Our apartment, once a way station, now hummed with permanence. Delaney's sheet music pinned to walls like flags of conquest, my lesson plans scattered amid her chord charts. The Serum's accident felt like a lifetime ago. Its truths the foundation stones of our days. Yet, no story lacks its undercurrents. Delaney's album, Serum and Sunsets, gained traction. A Portland indie label bit, offering a modest deal with the spring release. Excitement buzzed, but so did pressure. Deadlines, demos, the siren of success that whispered of tours and spotlights. What if it pulls us apart? She confided one night, curled against me in bed, the city's distant carillon tolling midnight. I traced patterns on her arm, freckles like constellations. Then we write the itinerary together. No more solo flights. My own crossroads loomed. A job offer back in Missouri directing a community center's arts program. Queer youth focus. A chance to heal what my family couldn't. But St. Louis. It's home's shadow. She propped up, green eyes intent. Shadows pass. And I'd follow you there, alpha or not. Laughter followed, dissolving tension. But the seed of change took root, decisions deferred, like rain clouds gathering. Christmas approached, a bridge across oceans. We flew to St. Louis first, my duffel stuffed with Seville souvenirs. Lace fans, ceramic tiles painted with flamenco dancers. The airport reunion was awkward poetry. Mom's hug fierce, Dad's handshake firm. A plate of burnt cookies as peace offering. Your girls got pipes, Dad grunted after Delaney's impromptu carol by the tree, her voice turning silent night into something secular and soulful. Delaney charmed them effortlessly. Helping Mom in the kitchen, debating Royals baseball with Dad over eggnog. But undercurrents swirled. Whispers of Elena at the dinner table. A faded photo on the mantel that made my throat tighten. After lights out in the guest room's narrow bed, I broke. They see you, but do they see me? The girl who killed her sister. Delaney held me through the sobs. They see a survivor. And so do I. Morning brought catharsis. A family walk in Forest Park, snow dusting the paths, where I voiced the unvoiced Elena's laugh, her fierce protectiveness of my secrets, the crash's blur of headlights and screams. Mom wept, linking arms with me. She'd be proud of this love. Human moments, unscripted and profound. Portland was next, a whirlwind of green pines and craft brews, Delaney's childhood haunts unfolding like album sleeves. Her parents, liberal academics with a Victorian house overlooking the Willamette, enveloped us in intellectual warmth. Debates on folk revival over Pinot Noir. A jam session where Dad strummed bass to her guitar. But Rachel's ghost lingered, mutual friends' sidelong glances, a box of old letters unearthed in the attic. Burn them? Delaney asked, lighter in hand. We did, flames dancing in the backyard fire pit, ash carrying away the last tendrils of betrayal. To new stories. I toasted with a stolen sip of her wine. Spring bloomed with decisions crystallized. Delaney signed the deal, album launch set for June in a Brooklyn venue. A compromise, East Coast neutral ground. I accepted the Missouri gig but with a twist. Remote TFL consulting to keep Spain's thread alive. Hybrids, she called us, packing crates with vinyl and vows. Yet climax shadowed our idol. In May, as Seville's Azahor faded, a letter arrived, handwritten, postmarked Portland. Rachel. Not vitriol but vulnerability, saw the album teaser. Feria gutted me. I was wrong about you, about us. If there's coffee in you as friends. Delaney stared at it, color draining. She's trying. But after everything. The conflict reignited, not as blaze but simmer. Friends. I echoed, heart clenching. Or unfinished business? Delaney crumpled the paper, but doubt lingered in her eyes. It's pity. Or ego. But it stirs the old fears. What if I forgive too easily? What if that's my flaw? We argued that night, words sharp as Seville's summer heat. Me accusing her of wavering, her lashing back at my insecurities. You think I'm running back? After the fair, after choosing you. Doors slammed, silence stretched till dawn. Resolution came not in grand gestures, but quiet reckoning. The next morning, over café con leche on the balcony, Delaney unfolded the letter, reading aloud Rachel's pleas. She's human, broken like us. But you're my horizon. She tore it fully, scattering pieces to the breeze. No more ghosts. Just us. I nodded, tears pricking. And if they come? We face them. Together. The kiss sealed it, soft, reaffirming, a romantic anchor in drama's wake. June's launch was a triumph. Brooklyn's hall packed with queers in flannel and finery. Delaney set a revelation, Serum and sunsets alive. Our story sung to strangers who cheered like kin. I stood front row, hazel eyes locked on green. Pride swelling as encores demanded Hazel twice over. After, in a rooftop bar overlooking the East River, label suits toasted futures, but we slipped away to a quiet bench. What's next? She asked, head on my shoulder. Everything. Missouri summers, Portland falls, Seville springs. And this us unbroken. Humanistic love. Not fairy tale flawless but resilient, laced with laughter and the occasional scar flash. Elena's anniversary became ritual. A Missouri River picnic, toasts to her wild spirit. Rachel faded to footnote, a cordial coffee once, boundaries firm. Forgiveness a gift we gave ourselves. On our 5th anniversary, the Serum nights mark, Delaney surprised me with a trip back to Seville. Our old apartment leased to new expats but Triana unchanged. Potter's wheels turning, flamenco echoing. On the balcony of a rented casita, guitar in lap, she sang an epilogue. From vials to vows, in the heat we found grace / 2 hearts in the rhythm, claiming their place. I slipped a ring on her finger, simple gold, engraved with verdad y amor, and whispered, yes forever. In Spain's eternal sun we danced, dramatic souls tamed by emotions tied. Romantic in our quiet fires, humanistic to the core. Secrets hidden no more but shared, they became our strength. A lesbian love story, American in its bold heart, Spanish in its passionate pulse.